Okay, well, we will get started. Kelly, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate your time. I know everybody is so busy these days for sure. Just to do a quick introduction on who Kelly is. She's a holistic sports nutritionist that normally deals with high school athletes transitioning to college athletics, but she has a master's degree in nutrition and degree in exercise science and is a certified personal trainer. So she has 20 years of experience in the field and has a vast knowledge on simplifying the process of meal prep, which is something I get told time and time again that is a problem for people. They think that it's something that could save them time, but they have no idea how to start it without, like making it too difficult. We always tend to make things tougher than they are when in the beginning. So Kelly has a brief presentation for us that she's going to take us through, and then we will open it up to questions after that. So I will give you the floor, Kathy.
Am I able to share my screen? Oh,
if you can't yet, I will.
You have to let me.
Does that let you share your screen? Okay, perfect.
All righty. There we go. You guys can see my screen. Let me move my boxes over. All righty. Well, I'm super happy to be able to share my knowledge with other people. Like Jenna was saying, I work a lot with student athletes. I have student athletes. I've taught in high school. And so I know that typically students don't eat and struggle to eat, but so do adults. And so a lot of times my clients are struggling just with what do I eat at work? And they don't plan ahead just for the same reasons that kids don't, quite honestly. You just don't have time. You want to get 5 more minutes of sleep in the morning. You don't know what to plan. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about meal prepping, and what goes together with that is the meal planning, of course, because you got to have a plan. So meal prep is all of these things. So it's varied. You can make it adaptable to your needs or your dietary considerations. Sorry there. It is cost effective. So you can save money by prepping your own meals instead of eating out, for example. Overall, like when you go to the grocery store, the budget might be like, but when you consider how much money you're saving compared to ordering out, door dashing, I guess you could include in that the price of going to the doctor for ill health, any of that, it is more cost effective overall. It's 100% more nutritious because you can control your portion sizes and the quality of your ingredients. So a lot of times I will tell my own kids, hey, if you want junk food like mac and cheese or whatever, let's make it from scratch because it will be a lot better for you. I'm not going to say it's healthy, but it's going to be a lot better for you than the boxed mac and cheese, for example. And then it's a time saver. In the long run, meal prepping saves you time. So I think a lot of times, like Jenna was saying, it seems to be overwhelming. It's daunting. It's a little bit scary to us. But overall, it will save you time. And if you've ever experienced getting home from work or getting home from a late practice or, whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I make for dinner? If you have stuff already prepped, then you already know, and you're not falling face first into whatever you find in the pantry, which may or may not be good. But alrighty, so we're going to make a plan. The first step is making a plan. You don't have to plan each and every meal and snack for 7 days. That's where we get overwhelmed. So maybe just figuring out what meal is the hardest to get in during the day. If you struggle with a breakfast and you're inconsistent with your breakfast, then that's a great place to start. Start prepping breakfast so that you can start off the day really well. If you find that, man, I'm at work and I just forget to pack a lunch and there's nothing near me, or I end up working through my lunch, maybe that's where you want to start, and you're going to start prepping lunches and taking those to work. Or dinner is a very common one for a lot of people. Like I said, you get hurried and you get rushed. And I don't know about you, but between the hours of about 4 and 8 o'clock at night, my kids are doing all the things and everybody has to be here, there, and everywhere. And by the time everybody's home, like nobody wants to cook dinner or anything. So find which one is going to be the most useful to you in setting up success for yourself. And then once you get that one, then we're going to habit stack in. Okay, I've got my breakfast now. That's easy. I don't have to think about it. Now I'm going to work on my lunch. All right. Using sticky notes. So the sticky note method is a way of keeping track or meal planning. I've seen it done a couple of ways, and my clients have had success in a couple of different ways. One is just writing meals down on sticky notes and putting them on a piece of paper. And then, you know, if something comes up and you didn't anticipate it, you can just pop that meal off and maybe put it later in the week or something like that. And then it's not being wasted. The other way that people will use sticky notes is they will like color code them maybe by either like lunch, dinner, or maybe by who can prep what. So I have one client right now that she's trying to get her kids to help in the kitchen a little bit. So they're keeping track of, we can put this meal together because this child is able to make this and this child is able to make this and dad can make this and mom makes this and everybody is helping together. That's also setting kids up for success long term, right? Because now they are learning how to cook. I've also seen people do it where they break it down by color. Maybe like chicken dishes and one is like quick meals and one is beef, you know, whatever that way. And then they keep them kind of in a notebook and they're able to pop them in to their calendar based off of who's going to be home, how much time they have, and all of that. Keeping track of popular combinations. So I don't know about you, but when I especially am feeding a family, if I happen to come across something that like everybody ate and nobody complained about, that's one I want to keep track of because you know that everybody will eat it, right? Because I personally hate it when everyone's complaining about what's for dinner, but nobody else wants to cook dinner. So that's a good one to remember too. The tricky part of that is sometimes if you've just thrown together a pantry meal, trying to remember what you did there. But that goes the same for like meal prepping for your own self. And your meals to go, keeping track of popular combinations as far as like, wow, I ate this and this made me feel really good. I had a lot of energy. I was able to focus. And so it could just be that food combination, or it could be like the macro combination. So for example, if you were like, I felt really great when I had my chicken, rice, and broccoli, that's great, but we don't want to just eat chicken, rice, and broccoli every day because you're only getting the nutrients from the chicken, rice, and broccoli. So we need to swap that out. So maybe you're going to have fish and Brussels sprouts and quinoa or something. And now we have the same nutrient profile as far as macronutrients are concerned, but our vitamins and minerals are a little bit changed that way. So that's, and plus it's not fun to eat the same thing every single day. So, and then you're going to choose a shopping day. So plan ahead. Choose your shopping day. For a lot of people, that might be Saturday or Sunday. They might shop on Sunday and then also prep their food on Sunday. And then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. You may need to pick a second day though, like Wednesday or something, to kind of prep some meals, just because if you prep everything on Sunday, it might not still be good by the end of the week. Especially if you do things that are cooked vegetables, they tend to get kind of soft and not as yummy. So that's something to consider and plan for as well. All right, what to prep? Oh my goodness, what do I prep? So there's a couple ways of doing this. You can prep parts of meals. And this is where I find people generally have the most success, especially if they're feeding more than just themselves. So parts of meals would be like grilling your meat. So if you're having people over for a barbecue or whatever, make extra meat, grill whatever you're grilling or throw some extra stuff on there. And then you have that already prepped and in the refrigerator. Same with hard-boiled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs are a fantastic quick protein that can be added to things or eaten on their own as a quick source of protein. Big old salad. So this is one that I use at my house, especially when my kids are or were learning how to pack meals on their own. And so you can get all of your veggies and chop them up yourself, or my quick method is I literally get a big bag of either like mixed greens, or maybe I'll throw some spinach in it, and I'll put that in a container. And then my kids like to eat veggie trays. So we have those types of vegetables around, but there's always like nobody wanted to eat the last of the carrots or whatever. So I will just like kind of throw those in, or those easy grab and go produce veggies like your baby carrots, maybe celery, little mini peppers, those types of things that don't require a lot of prep. You're going to throw them in there, put a damp paper towel on the top and keep it upside down. And then when you're needing to pack something quick, let's say I have my grilled meat and I have my big old salad, all I need to do to prep is grab some of my big old salad, put it in another container, change the paper towel and flip it back over, and then add some meat to it. And I have a meal with that like maybe took me 2 minutes to, get it all together. So that's a great option as well. Chopped veggies, you can even buy those pre-prepped. You'll spend a little bit more money that way, but if it means that you're eating it and you're throwing out and wasting less than when you're purchasing the veggie whole, that is not only a time saver, but it is more economical in the long run because you're eating it and you're not wasting it. And then, like I said, grab and go produce. So any of your veggies, most any fruits outside of maybe like mangoes or something like that are a grab and go, right? They already have it just needs to be peeled, like a banana. Berries are easy to eat on the run. Any of those types of things are fantastic for considering as part of your meal prep. A popular one with my family are the little cutie oranges. They'll grab them like 4 at a time or whatever with their lunch. Alternatively, you can prep full meals. Now, leftovers are really just meal prep, or meal prep is just really leftovers. So if you have anything left over from the night before, that's perfect. You can eat it for dinner the next night. You can eat it for lunch. You could even eat it for breakfast, which I know is kind of like mind blowing. But yes, you can eat, steak and broccoli for breakfast. It's okay. There's no rules against it. It just seems kind of weird to us because we typically eat cereal or toast or, those types of things. So don't be afraid to think outside the box and kind of, whatever goes. Your body is needing fuel. Your body doesn't know like, well, this is a breakfast food and this one isn't. It just needs the fuel and the nutrition. So if you do like eating the same thing every day, prepping full meals is the way to go. And that's easy, right? But like I already said, if you choose the meal that's the most difficult for you to get in consistently, that's the full meal I would start with. If you are brand new to meal prepping, I would not start with all those Instagram photos of just like 21 meals prepped because everyone did their breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the full week. I just think it's not realistic. It's overwhelming. And like I said, a lot of times it'll start to go bad and then you have to throw it out, or you're not going to eat it. You found out it wasn't as good as what you thought. So I typically tell my clients to plan for about 3 days, and that's less overwhelming. And then you kind of know, like, did I like this? Did I not like this? Does it travel well? Does it not travel well? Did I feel good eating it? All right. Alrighty, so these are just kind of some pictures to kind of get you thinking about things that you could meal prep. So it doesn't always have to be the chicken, broccoli, rice. We can find other tasty things to meal prep, even if you are eating at home. So most of the time I work from home. Today I'm in my office downtown, but I typically work from home. So I will meal prep even at home. The nice thing about that, though, is I can have things like avocado toast or something that might not necessarily travel well, but I prep parts of it so that it's easy for me to throw together when I'm in between client meetings or whatever. So you can see all of these foods have nice bright colors. That's what we're looking for. Lots of colors, lots of nutrients. Any of these are going to be great choices. And honestly, like if you went out to a restaurant and you could get any of these, like you'd probably want to get those. They're way better than a burger. And it's going to be a lot more nutritious for you. Also, I want you to note that things like over here, these are ribboned veggies, and sometimes that entices us to eat a salad just because it looks prettier. It's a different texture than just chopping it. So if you have like a spiralizer or anything like that, that you can make ribbon veggies or like zoodles is what we call the spiralized zucchini. That's just another way to get some of those really great veggies into your diet. And most people struggle with the veggies. So like, how am I supposed to get all these veggies in? And that one is one that's popular too, like the spiralizing with kids, because it's fun to do if they get to do it. You can buy them prepped as well, but it's just adds a different texture, a different profile. They think that, you know, like especially zucchini noodles, that they're going to be so gross because they're grossed out by the zucchini. But once you throw some spaghetti sauce on it, they find it's really not as bad. It doesn't have a really strong taste. And the texture is pretty close to a noodle. It doesn't get as like full in your mouth as pasta does, but it's pretty close.
You know, one thing I'll interject real quick, when it comes to my own meals, you know, like part of feeling full and satisfied is enough food volume. And if you are trying to cut down on your calories, then you could sub out even like a half or third of your pasta portion for, you know, vegetable noodles. And you like legitimately, if it's mixed in your other pasta and covered in sauce or whatever, you don't even notice the difference.
You won't know.
You'll get to eat like that much food. So, you know, considering that is a good game changer too.
Yes. And that's the same with like riced cauliflower. It's totally a texture thing. Like, so a lot of times when we feel like we need rice, rice is yummy, but it's more the texture. And so again, you could sub half and half. You can go a full meal deal and just have riced cauliflower. But even by doing half and half, you're still getting the benefit of the veggie, and you've lowered the energy amount going in through.
Absolutely. I know there's some people that hate veggies, and there's like, there's no way I could eat a whole bowl of rice cauliflower, you know, like I'm revolted by that. But if you sub out just half of it and put it in with your normal rice, it's, I mean, cauliflower is a very neutral taste when it's mixed in something. And so those are simple ideas to lower your caloric density of your meals.
Absolutely. And that's like a fantastic way too, to kind of get kids eating veggies, especially if it's in something that they can't see it, to dissect it, because they're notorious for like pulling stuff out. But the zoodles we did, I was teaching foods and nutrition last year as we were kind of coming back into the school system full time in person. And so those high schoolers were making the zoodles, and they were all like, oh my gosh, this is not going to be good. I'm not going to like it. And they had to make it for their lab, and their labs were all done at home. And so once they did spiralize them, they spiralized them at school and then took it home to cook it. And so many of them came back and were like, that was really good. I didn't think it would be. And they were saying that their parents were surprised too, how good it was. So the parents hadn't had it either. So you never know. It's just something kind of fun. You have to be adventurous sometimes.
You don't have to go all the way. Like you don't have to go from eating pasta to full vegetable noodles. Like just start subbing out a quarter, a third, a half, or whatever, and work your way up to it.
Kind of put your toe in the water a little bit and see, am I really going to like this and stuff. And then, I mean, honestly, you know, it almost counts as a salad then when you have your zoodles with sauce instead of leafy greens. So, alrighty. So next we're going to talk about making it portable. So there's lots of ways to make your meals portable. One is using containers you have. So if you think about like mom or grandma, depending on how old you are, used to keep everything, right? Like in the margarine container or something that had been used. That's the same thing. It's meal prep and it's a portable container. So as long as it is clean and has a lid and it's not going to spill, it's going to be a great option. Typically, you would maybe want to stay away from plastics that have BPA in them, just because you're going to get that microplastic in your body. And we don't want that. That's a whole other host of problems. But that's where mason jars are really popular right now. Glass is really popular. I like to use glass, but it depends on how realistic that is for you and where you're traveling, or you know, your work situation and stuff like that. You can purchase containers. So bento boxes are fantastic. Any of those split containers that you see, you can get them at Target, Walmart, almost anywhere, Amazon. Those are great as well. You want to consider though, what you're putting in it. Does it need reheated? So just sometimes you have to kind of scoop, you can take it now, but you might have to scoop it out and put it on a paper plate or something to microwave it or to heat it up. There's been a lot of times that I've meal prepped personally and I'm like, this looks beautiful. I have all the things, I've checked all the boxes, and then I'm like, oh, I need to microwave this part, but not this part. So, that might be something to consider, or usually I end up eating the cold stuff first and then I'll like heat it up in the microwave or something like that. Bento boxes are also really great if you are trying to pack with kids because they have lots of little containers, and they're usually, I'm not going to say they're a serving size, but they're pretty close. Like you can identify, oh, the larger one should probably have my protein or my vegetables in it, and the smaller one would have my carbs or my yummy little dipping sauce or whatever. So those are great options as well. I really like stainless steel ones, but you can't heat your food in the stainless steel ones. So you kind of have to consider what you're taking, where you're taking it, and does it need reheated or not. Insulated meal prep bags. So these are just like all a lunchbox, right? But you can buy meal prep bags if you are going to be gone all day. You need all your meals all day long. They'll fit in there, and they come in all kinds of sizes and colors and shapes and whatever. Those typically you can find on Amazon or whatever, and they're all insulated, and they'll have containers that fit specifically in that. That can be good if you need a reminder as well to like, okay, I need to eat breakfast, I need to eat a snack, I need to eat lunch, all that. It's all right there and it's with you. Those are good options too if you are traveling for sports, because you don't have to lug a huge cooler with you or whatever. You have it all right in that container, with ice packs to keep it cold. So that's a good option as well. And then don't forget your hydration. Do not forget to pack your water with you, or whatever it is you're drinking. Hopefully water, hopefully lots of water. But make sure that you take that with you so that you're helping your digestion, so your body feels good, and you're not all dehydrated and cranky. Alrighty, so my question then is, do you guys have anything specifically that you like to meal prep? Do you have any favorites? No?
You guys feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. I know for me personally, I just generally prep my proteins every weekend. If I know I'm home for the whole week, I will do my proteins. I don't like to eat the same thing every single day, but I don't need like variety for every meal, just because that to me is like overwhelming to think about. I don't want to have to plan new meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner for 5 or 7 days out of the week. So I batch cook my proteins, and I don't portion them out, individually in like little containers, pretty containers on Sunday night for the rest of the meals. But I know like come Tuesday evening for my lunch, Wednesday at work or whatever, I can just dish out whatever I need. I always keep either canned or frozen veggies in the freezer. Maybe they're not quite as great as fresh stuff, but like you're splitting hairs there. So not a big deal.
And it's more realistic. Yeah, we use frozen veggies a lot at our house, or the ones that are steamable. It's actually super nice that like in the produce section, they have those already prepped. You can
and
throw them in the bag. Yes. So easy, right? I prefer roasted veggies, but I mean, that totally works. So yeah, I like to prep that type of stuff as well. And it can be as regimented or as easy as you want to make it. A lot of times, as long as we're just getting our protein and our produce, we're doing pretty good, right? It's not hard to find the carbs and the fat and all that. If we can prioritize those things and have those already prepped, that's going to help us a ton. I like to prep yogurt parfaits. So next door to my office, there's a coffee shop, and they sell yogurt bowls, and they're magic. They're delicious. And so I was like, well, I can't afford to spend, however much, $5 or $6 for a bowl like every single day. So I started making my own again, which I used to do. And then anyway, so it's just yogurt with like, I use a grain-free granola and berries, and then a little bit of almond butter on the top, and it's so good. It's like my favorite thing.
Absolutely. I think people get caught in the trap of like thinking meal prep means you have every meal figured out, and decide
Yes.
where your biggest hangup is. And like Kelly said, most of the time it really is either the protein sources or, the vegetables or whatnot. And so if you
Yes.
only work on one of those and you get comfortable having that ready to go for, your next 3 to 5 days, then like that's your version of meal prep. That's what works for you. So meal prep doesn't need to be the whole week all at once by any means.
Right.
I don't do that. And I also, on the subject of traveling, one thing I want to mention is I think we tend to eat whatever is convenient and whatever we have. And if we don't have anything, usually the most convenient thing is the McDonald's on the corner, or, whatever's open at 11 p.m. at night when we're done doing our activities that we're doing. So if you have options available, even if you don't end up using all of them, but if they're there, you're more often like you will gravitate towards using those and making those decisions just because that's what convenient. Because we're all like, when we're doing family activities, sports, horse shows, everything. I mean, you're on a time crunch and you just don't have time, or not even time sometimes, but like the mental like willpower or the fortitude to dedicate towards figuring out meals. So whatever's convenient, you'll do.
That's a great point too. With like, we personally at my house, we have a gluten-free eater, we have dairy allergy, like we have all these things. And so we actually, when we go out, if we're traveling, instead of stopping at a convenience store or McDonald's, we go to the grocery store, and it's kind of like a mix and match free for all. Like everybody can, now granted, my kids just want like Lunchables and all the Reese's or whatever, but you can kind of tailor it a little bit more as far as like, oh, I could grab a prepackaged salad and then go over to the deli and get chicken, and they'll cut it up for you. And now you have a better salad than what you'll find at McDonald's, right? And you can get, whatever drinks you want or whatever. We do that a lot actually when we're traveling. But that also means that you have the freedom to stop and travel. If you're traveling in a group, you might not, like kids in athletics don't necessarily have that freedom.
That is a great point, though. I do think most grocery stores anymore have such a vast, like ready to eat, section in their deli department that you could always find lean, good proteins, that are already cooked and like sliced or whatever that you can just dish out. And so even if you don't want to take stuff with you, if you just give yourself like 30 minutes to go grocery shopping when you get to wherever you're going for the weekend or whatever, there is a lot in grocery stores.
Yeah. Especially if you have a buddy you can split with, because then at least you're getting like a portion. Because like sometimes you can only buy like a big old thing of berries or whatever, and they're pre-cut, but realistically you're not going to eat them all. So that's a perfect option. I love that.
Question I do get a lot is, if you have, say, a mom, for example, wants to eat healthy to maybe lose some weight or, further her personal goals, but yet she has 3 kids that like don't want to eat any of that. So how do you recommend people balance the like healthy meals for you, but also incorporating enough to keep your kids happy and not like revolted off the food?
Right. And like not having to cook 94,000 meals.
Not do completely separate.
So a couple of things. When we are at home, we do a lot of deconstructed meals. And so that would be like with spaghetti, we'll make like either gluten-free spaghetti or a spaghetti squash, and then like the regular pasta that my all the gluten eaters want to eat. And we do the sauce separate because some people want sauce, some people don't want sauce, or whatever. And that keeps me personally from going a little crazy. Now, I'm the one that's the gluten-free eater. So I typically, even if they all prepped their own food, I'm making my part anyway. And I prefer something like spaghetti squash because it's easy to like just stick in the crock pot and let it cook all day. And then it just peels apart, and it's like quicker than what they, did cooking up their gluten pasta. So we do that, or we do stuff like tacos a lot. Just again, deconstructed, you can put on it what you want, and then you're not prepping multiple dishes. Tacos like also make super great meal prep, right? Like all those leftovers, you can have them so many different ways. We do that a lot at our house. When we're traveling, like I said, we hit the grocery store a lot. I tend to, in order to find that balance with my kids, with my family, the bulk of our meal is usually what I'm eating, which is going to be a better choice overall, nutritionally. And then I make a compromise, right? So like, yes, I would love it if my kids weren't, into, like I said, the macaroni and cheese, but if I can get them to like eat the steak and some salad and then have macaroni and cheese, I consider that a win, right? Also, they've got the benefit of like their metabolisms. And right now, it's more important to me that they learn how to cook and have a healthy relationship with food and understanding nutrients compared to turning them off to eating healthy because I'm forcing them to, eat brown rice and, all this stuff that they don't. So you kind of have, it's a give and take, right? And you have to be willing to compromise on some of that.
Yeah,
Just the
I
way
think
it is.
those are excellent points. If you keep your sauces, dressings, all that separate on
Mhm.
whatever you're making, like you can so easily control the amount of calories that are in any one meal, because more
Yes.
often than not, it's the sauces, oils, dressings that really get us into trouble, more so
Yes.
than just like the actual food items going into it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that's kind of where we get into trouble, right? The salad's great for us. It's just all the stuff we put on it.
Yeah. And
It's
I
not as
also feel
great.
like there's a huge misnomer that healthy food has to taste bland and boring, and like you can't put
Mhm.
salt on it and you can't put seasonings on it and you have to like steam your broccoli and eat it plain. I mean, I love
Right.
like good seasoned steamed broccoli, but I do
Mhm.
not like it at all. I mean, ugh, if it has
Yeah.
nothing on it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, don't
Yep.
healthy food doesn't have to be terrible tasting by any means. Keep
Yeah.
experimenting with your own seasonings and whatever until you find something that
Mhm.
really works. So, I
Sticks with you.
mean,
And when you find what works, then you just stick with it.
yeah, you just
Just
bring it
keep
back
going.
and make a rotation of like 5 to 6 things or whatever, and you use it
Exactly.
for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
All right,
100%.
let's see. There's a question. My meal prepping is always a happy little accident of dinner leftovers. Luckily, it's usually chicken and vegetables, but I'm excited to start subbing rice pasta with some more veggies. Breakfast is a meal that we all skip through, and typically lunch as well. I like the idea of overnight oats, yogurt, parfaits, but how do you keep the granola or oats from getting too soggy?
So I either will add them later, or I saw, because there's people way smarter than me, on like, I don't know, Pinterest or something. I don't know if you eat like the like fruit cups, but they took those containers that like the peaches come in or whatever, the plastic ones, and they cleaned them out and they put any of that type of stuff in it. And it fits when you turn it upside down, or I guess you would put the lid from the mason jar on it. It fits perfectly on that. So the mason jar lid is flat here, and then your goodies are going to be right on top, and the ring will fit right around all of it. I thought that was super ingenious. Alternatively, you could just like stick it in a Ziploc bag or something. So I usually add it at the end. When I do make a parfait, I'll do it like if it's going to travel. That's one of the reasons why I'll choose a grain-free, which is mostly just nuts, because they won't get soggy like a oatmeal granola will. So usually like one night, like if you prep it the night before and you're going to eat it the next morning, you'll be okay with your granola. It won't turn super soggy. If it's, you prepped it 2 to 3 days in advance, it might be a little bit less crunchy. Still good, maybe less crunchy. So those might be
I'm not as
options.
familiar with the granola, but I have made overnight oats several times to have as a grab and go in the morning. And you'd be
Mhm.
surprised, like you can make your oats the normal way and then just put it in a jar or bowl or, or
Mhm.
Tupperware or whatever for the morning. And then they were surprisingly good, like straight out of the fridge, cold.
Yeah.
But if you do
Yes.
like them warm, you can heat them back up. But then they're fully cooked. And if you want some protein in there, like throw either like Greek yogurt or a
Mhm.
scoop of protein powder in your overnight oats.
Mhm.
It's amazing. And
Yeah.
I mean, I love the texture and the of everything with overnight
Yeah.
oats.
Some people, I have mixed success at my house. Two of my kids really like it. One of my kids is like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. 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 It
So yeah.
probably is, some people like love Jello and pudding, and other people are like, oh, I can't eat that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
one of
It's
those texture
kind of
things.
a hit and miss, trial and error type of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, pack it separate or, whatever. I used to, for my son, he's in college now, but when he was in high school and he was doing cross country, and then he was also doing PE on top of that. So I was like, you just need to eat all day long. And so I was trying to give him lots of calories. And so he would eat those, but we would mix his yogurt with cream cheese, which is super yummy. But if you're trying to watch how many calories you're taking in, not the best thing, but he would totally layer that with his granola and berries. And that was like one of his favorite kind of go-to breakfast meals.
Yeah.
I always figure if kids will eat it, it's okay.
For sure. So here's a quick question while we're wrapping up on the subject of food appliance or kitchen appliances, which I know none of us want to like have a kitchen full of appliances that we have to store. But between a rice cooker, an Instapot, or an air fryer, what's your pick?
I would pick an Instapot. If I could go back in time and had Instapots existed, I would just get an Instapot, only because it does multiple things and takes up, less space than all my different things. I haven't used an air fryer, but I know you can buy an attachment for the Instapot that does air frying, but I haven't personally used it. However, I do have an Instapot. I have a blender. I have, crock pot, like all those things, all taking up space. So when I was first learning how to cook, if I didn't know any different, I would have gotten that. And you can saute like in it. Now I get kind of annoyed because I don't want to take the time to saute in it. I would rather just saute on the stove and then throw it in there. So I think it depends, just kind of personal preference. But if I had to pick one thing, I would pick an Instapot just because it's more versatile. For sure.
Yeah. I think if you like the texture of fried foods a lot, if you're kind of like a fried foodie type person, the air fryers are game changers.
I might have to try it.
Yeah.
I kind of like see, if I lived like in the South where everything
There's a
is
lot of fried
food. Yeah. I mean, I'd be perfectly happy, but I, have purposefully not fried. And up where I live, we don't really eat a lot of fried foods. I didn't really realize until I traveled to other places. But I like fried foods, so the air fryer might be the way to go.
Like roasting vegetables quickly, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can do. I mean, they are reasonably versatile, probably not quite as versatile as a is, but
I might have to try it.
Yeah, I highly recommend them. And I mean, I have an air fryer and then my old fashioned crock pot. I still use it like every week.
So. I use the crock pot all the time, 100%, especially in the summer when it gets really, really hot. I like crock pot meals instead of turning on the oven. So
I have an air fryer and I love it.
Do you?
I roast my veggies in it, and I just recently started cooking my chicken in it. And it doesn't make it like fried, but it's so tender, so juicy still, and I don't think I can cook it another way ever again.
Is it crispy? Like on the outside, is it crispy?
The outside doesn't get like really crispy. I like, sometimes I do coat it like with like maybe an olive or avocado oil. But I love my air fryer now. It doesn't make it like fried, but it's almost like a perfectly baked chicken breast.
I might have to do that. I'm gonna have to buy like the Instapot attachment and try it.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to store the whole air fryer thing.
Yeah. That's what it's like. If you got an Instapot and an air fryer, like that's a lot of space.
Yeah.
So on your chicken, Sarah, do you do like whole chicken breast typically?
I do whole chicken breasts. I try to pick the smaller ones for the air fryer though, just because if you do the bigger ones, it's going to take just as long as the oven. And I try to keep them thinner. Like I try to pick ones that are maybe like 2 inches thick and lower.
Yeah, more even cooking that way.
Yeah.
Good to know. Cool. See, everybody can learn everything.
I know. I feel like we need to like crowdsource cooking methods because we all kind of have our like go-to things that work for us. And it's like stuff you don't even think about too. Like somebody says it and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I need to try that. So there needs to be some central place where
I know. Oh, yes. And you kind of learn as you go, right? So, and that's what I tell my kids, right? When you're trying to teach them how to cook and stuff like that, or teach anybody how to cook, you're not amazing the first time. And if you are, you need to be going down that career path.
Right. Yeah. If you're not a chef, then there's no one way or one expectation of what meal prepping has to look for you. So
Exactly.
you just
Yes.
trial and error it. That's what we're all doing.
Yeah.
Until you find your go-tos. So absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Kelly, thank you so much for your time. If nobody else has any
Absolutely.
questions, we will wrap it up tonight. We will have a recording available for anybody that needs it. But I think that'll do us.
Alrighty, I'm gonna stop sharing. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah,
Have a good
you're
evening.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.